up. Get ready. It's going to be a very, very intense journey. Begin.
Hello and welcome to Frame Skip, your daily dose of video game news and discussions. I am one of your hosts, Seth Slakehouse, alongside the amazing Austin Eller.
What's up, Seth? How's it going?
What's up, boss? It's going pretty good, dude. I'm making a lot of money this week.
Nice.
So I'm pretty happy about that. It's also my birthday week. I turned 27 yesterday, so that was pretty cool. That was pretty, as the kids like to say, that's pretty dope.
No, what they would say is it's pretty lit.
No,
it's pretty lit that you turned 27.
That finna be hella lit. I'm trying to stay hip with the younger lingo. Is that probably is that about right?
Now that Coach isn't on, we can just converse in our language.
Yeah, our millennial language.
Yeah. There's been so many words in this last 10 years that I just never use. I remember when swag was the thing.
Swag.
Everyone was into that. That was some crazy fad for a while.
My favorite one in the last few years has been yeet. Yeah. You just yeet something. That's been great.
Yeah. Yeet is an interesting word.
And now WAP is going around. You know what WAP means, Austin?
Unfortunately, I do.
Yeah. And it is just hilarious that people are just casually using this word all over the place. I'm having a blast. Looking at the memes and whatnot. So, the evolution of language is happening very fast in front of us. Very fast.
It is. It's nonstop.
And how do you fall on the side of the evolution of language versus proper grammar? Because as a journalist, right, you're supposed to use proper grammar, but language naturally evolves. So we were always taught ain't isn't a real word, right? But then when I was in high school, ain't got added to the dictionary, making it an official word, but it's still poor grammar. So at what point do we just let language evolve and stop dealing with this you can go to the bathroom, type of thing?
It is an interesting point though, because in school and at my work and stuff, obviously we're told to write like we're speaking. Mm-hmm. We're told to be very conversational in the way we're writing, and obviously, on a serious note, this is a serious thing. If language is evolving and these words are coming into our daily vocabulary, how does that play into my work? I don't really know. I've never really thought about it.
Yeah, I think about this at least once a week. This is how my brain works. I think about the proper grammar and the evolution of language probably once a week.
You should write a book on it.
You know what? I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Starting tonight.
You should write. Here's what you should do. You should write essentially 2 books, but they're the same book. But one book is proper grammar, and the other book is made using, modern day language.
And we all know which one would be better to read. Which one would be WAP, if you know what I'm saying. Hella good. I'm finna read this whole book. Whatever, dude.
I don't understand. I really don't understand. I try to act like I know what these things mean, but I just can't bring myself to use these words in my vocabulary.
We're 17 layers of meme deep right now, dude. It all started with Harambe.
Oh yeah. Well, I'd like to say that Harambe's death is what led us to 2020. So,
yeah, dude, you go back in time, it all started with a gorilla.
Yep.
Anyway, dude, so how have you been this week? What are you up to?
I've been pretty good, man. Pretty good. Just kind of doing the same old stuff. Not much different work-wise, but still just hanging in there. And in my free time, Andie and I have been playing a lot more Monster Hunter. So I think I'm around 250 hours in now, which is pretty crazy. But
that is pretty insane.
Yeah, it's my second most played Monster Hunter game. I think it could potentially be my first at some point, because I played, I think, around 350, 400 hours of 3 on the Wii. But we've just been playing a ton of it, and I think part of that was brought on from knowing that the final update for Iceborne is coming out, which I might, if we have time, I might do 2 stories. But that's coming out soon. So I think I kind of want to get through the game finally and finish it up and get through all the content. But we've just been really having a blast with it. I absolutely adore that game. So it's been really good getting back into it. Because I don't know if I brought this up on the show before, but we go through phases. Because the thing is, we have our TV in the living room. Mm-hmm. And we have our office, which is like a second. Technically, our apartment's a 2-bedroom apartment, but our second bedroom is where both of our computers are. And so I think the problem we go through on occasion is that, like, I'll get home from work and I won't want to come in here and sit in the office and play Monster Hunter. Because that's how we like to play. Is we'll both bring our PS4s in here. That way, we're both in the same room and just playing away. But
what about remote play? Why don't you do remote play?
I've thought about that. So I was going to ask you, because I know you brought that up, I think, recently, but I wasn't on the show. I think it was the one where I was gone or something. But
yeah,
how does that work on PC? Is it fluid? Is it?
Oh, it works great, dude. You download the remote play app, and it works just like it does on the Vita. It just connects to your PS4, and you hook up your PS4 controller, and you just play. It's seamless. It works great. I really don't have any complaints on it, and like the lag is like there really should be a different word for like remote play or like streaming games lag, because it's not the same type of lag you would get from like a slow internet connection on a MMO.
Yeah.
But
it's like just a latency.
Yeah, like the latency, it's always going to be there. But I'll say straight up, dude, on the remote play through the app, especially on the same network, it's almost not noticeable at all. And I was playing, Kakarot, which is, pretty high-paced fighting game. You need good reflexes and skill and whatnot. And I was doing it without a problem at all. So I think maybe that could be the solution to your problems.
Yeah, I might need to try that.
I would.
But yeah, because I remember trying it when it first came out, and it definitely had some issues on PC. But obviously, it's been a while since then. So I might give it another shot. So
yeah, I've had no issues, and like I said, remember we were talking about before, I've streamed games with it as well, which obviously takes up a lot of resources and internet, and it's worked great for me. It's a great alternative to people who don't want to invest hundreds of dollars into a streaming setup for PS4 games and just want to stream from their computer so they can get their ideal layout and format or whatever. But I think it's a great solution. Obviously, like the picture quality, it's not going to be perfect. But you can choose what kind of quality you want to set to stream into. I think the max is 1080. I think I have it set to 720, but I would definitely give it a shot. I think that would be a pretty good solution.
Yeah, I think I will try that.
Yeah.
So,
and then once you're done conquering Monster Hunter, you go back into 14 with me.
I am really looking forward to it, though, to getting back to 14. I've been thinking about it a lot. I was actually telling Andie earlier that we should watch Sword Art, because she's never seen it. And I was like,
oh, yes.
The problem is the second we start watching this, every single time I watch Sword Art, I'm like, God, I need to play Final Fantasy right now.
Yes, dude. Yes, you do.
So I know if we start watching it, it's like going to be, I don't know. I guess it's just those two things are associated together in my mind, but
they are for me too. And I don't really know why, because like Sword Art isn't like close to Final Fantasy in terms of a game whatsoever, but they're both awesome. And you can, I mean, like the Sword Art's second arc obviously is very debatably bad, but
yes,
I know we've talked about it many, many times before. The second season is great, and then the movie is great, and this latest season, which is I think just crossed 50 episodes, Alicization, has been incredible so far.
Yeah,
almost as good as the first season.
I think this was another episode I wasn't on, but you had brought that up that so Alicization itself is like 50 episodes.
Yeah, so they split the season. They took a break at 25 episodes for like a year. So for me, it seems like 2 seasons, but really, it's one seamless whole season.
I didn't realize that. I knew it was still going, but I just assumed there was like some huge gap in between, like 12 episodes or something like they normally do. But no, I need to get back into it, and both Final Fantasy and Sword Art. But I think I did finish up season 2. I didn't watch the movie.
But, the movie's really good, and it's like a lot of anime movies are like they don't tie into the story at all. But this actually does take place timeline-wise right in between Season 2 and Alicization, and it comes up later in Alicization. They tie it into the movie. There's just one little scene, but it's worth watching, too. It's really good.
That's pretty cool.
But how far are you in Final Fantasy on your main character?
So my main character, I can't remember if I actually beat Heaven's Ward, but I'm pretty sure if I did not, I'm like on the last quest.
Okay.
So
Did you do any of the post patches?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you got God, you're in such a good spot.
Yeah.
You're in such a good spot.
So I'm definitely like at the end of what Heaven's Ward launched with, though. I definitely was not in any of the patches, but I think I brought it up before, but Andie and I were playing, and I think she had gotten up to like Aruda with her character, and I was running through just kind of, New Game Plus wasn't out at this point, so I couldn't rerun through the story, but I was kind of following her kind of progression level wise with a white mage class on my same character.
Oh, so you were using the same character. I thought you had started a new character.
No, I was using the same character. I just started a new class on it. So
is this still the same character that we all played together with, Gang Prince or whatever?
Yeah, I think I changed the name though. It's now Fumikage.
That's awesome.
From My Hero, the Falcon guy.
Why did you transfer to Ultros eventually, though?
I can't really recall. I think it had something to do with Elijah and Brandon and them. I think they were all on there, but now the problem is when you brought up the other day what server they were on, I was like, well, we were definitely all playing before, so I'm not really sure why they like did a different server again.
Well, so Elijah, I think, transferred to Aether to play with his European friends, and I think they all started new characters, to be honest with you, and it just restarted. So that sucks because now I'm left on Primal. Well, not really. You're with me, but you're not playing. But I have like no friends. And like I said, you guys are all. Me and you are on Primal. The rest of the guys are on Aether. And my one friend that I know really well, plays on Crystal, and he's like a hardcore player. So I'm like, I just can't win.
Here's the thing, and I'm going to be honest with you. Brandon and Craig and I guess Patrick, I think Patrick is playing. They all play for like a couple weeks and then they're done.
Yeah, I knew that's going to I know that's going to happen.
So I wouldn't really rely on them. What I will say is that, like I said, whenever we finish up Monster Hunter and move on to that, I have a feeling we will be playing this game for a while.
Yes.
Final Fantasy, whenever we jump back in. So if we want to move to, Crystal or whatever it is where your friend is, that might be the better option than moving to where they're all at right now, where they're going to stop playing in approximately 3 minutes.
I am 100% down with this idea because he's like a hardcore player. He's got all his classes leveled up. He's in a good free company and whatnot. The thing that sucks though is that I do like the guys in my free company. Now, 99% of the free company has been gone for almost 200 days. It's just the three of us left. So I'm probably just gonna hit him up and be like, "Hey, listen, guys, like, I gotta go. sorry, but like this is I gotta get out of here." Which sucks, but whatever. I
love that game though, man. God, it's so good, and I'm so excited to go back to it.
I think so. Like, I had a bunch of friends that were playing with me from work earlier in the year, and I think they all stopped playing because, for the same reason I think a lot of people stopped playing. They came from World of Warcraft, and they're trying to play this like an MMO, which is like grind as fast as you can to get to the end game, and like the World of Warcraft's all about the end game. The game really doesn't even start until you get to like the high end rating and whatnot. So for them, it was a constant like skip everything, run through everything as fast as possible, and it's really not how it's supposed to be played. Like,
no,
for anybody who might be listening who hasn't played Final Fantasy XIV and is thinking about it, like you really do play it like a regular Final Fantasy game. Up until the end game, which is when you start playing it like an MMO, where you're grinding for gear and doing your raids and whatnot, and getting in serious parties. But up until that point, it's all just like a straight Final Fantasy game.
I mean, it has tons of good story, dialogue.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
the cutscenes obviously are a little strange because they're, kind of lower quality compared to a standard Final Fantasy cutscene, but the cutscenes are still phenomenal. Like there's just a lot of really good stuff there, and it does play, if you're just mainlining it through the story, it does play like a standard Final Fantasy game, I would say.
Yeah, so. And the story mimics like a regular Final Fantasy game too. Like it doesn't have, it had like it's surprising how good that story is. I would say it's probably one of, if not the best Final Fantasy stories ever made.
Oh yeah,
and right where you're at is like incredible too. In Heaven's Ward, that Heaven's Ward or Shadowbringers is like unanimously people's favorite expansions for Final Fantasy 14. But man, I remember back when me, you, and Blake were all playing that game hardcore, and we were just on it all day, every single day, dude. Just grinding it out, getting through all the dungeons together and whatnot. Those were great times.
I know.
I've put in about 350 more hours since then.
Yeah, I pretty, like I said, I think I dropped off right around the time of Heaven's Ward, so I never played the other two, but I've just been, I don't know, kind of waiting around, and I think it has helped. Like when Andie and I were playing it, we played it for at least probably 2 months, like almost every single day. So
yeah, dude.
And stuff just happened at the beginning of this year and kind of knocked us out of it. But like I said, I know when we get back into it, and Andie will be there too, so she'll be able to play, and
absolutely, man.
We'll have plenty of people to raid and do all that stuff. So
absolutely,
it'll be fun.
Dude. I'm excited. Other than Final Fantasy, I haven't played much. I played a little bit of Apex and a little bit of Warzone. I played one game of Warzone for the first time.
What did you think of Warzone?
It's fine.
Yeah, I've only played maybe 2 or 3 matches of it, but I don't know. There's something about Warzone that I don't like.
It just feels like Call of Duty.
Yeah, well, and I don't know that I'm necessarily bothered by the way it plays. Like I think Call of Duty plays very well. It's very fluid, and it feels good. My issue is I think it's too fast for a battle royale game, for my taste at least. I think it's a little too like
the gameplay's too twitchy.
Yeah, too twitchy and too like just kind of focused on like the kill streaks and all that stuff. And I guess it's not kill streaks in this game, but it's like you still get like the bombings and all that stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know if I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that in Battle Royale personally.
I do love Apex though, man. I think Apex is
great.
Incredible. Yeah, Apex is great. And me, Watson, and our other buddy Sheldon got really good at it. We were streaming it there for a minute, and we still jump in every once in a while, but we played so much of it, I think we all got sick of it because we were playing every single night for like hours and hours and hours. So yeah, we needed a break, but we still jump in usually once every time we're all together on the computer. But Warzone was a pain to get set up on my PC. It wouldn't connect to the servers, and like this is an ongoing problem they're having. And
that's weird.
Yeah, it was really annoying. I had to take 2 days and like I took down my entire firewall on my network. It was really annoying. But eventually, like, what you have to do is just like let it sit there. You just have to let it sit for like 20 minutes the first time you start it up, and let it just try to connect to the server over and over and over again. But
I don't think I had that issue.
Did you play it on PC?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I don't know.
You're lucky.
Yeah, I need to play more Apex too, though. I really enjoyed what I played, but I never played that much of it. I never really sat down and played much. I probably played less than 10 hours at most.
Yeah, it's not
a whole lot. I don't know. I love the way that game plays because it's based off of Titanfall. And Titanfall, I guess maybe people don't know this, but Titanfall probably, aside from Doom, Titanfall 2 is probably my favorite shooter this gen. It's a super good game. So I love the way both Titanfall and Apex play.
I never did beat the 2016 Doom that I was playing earlier in the year.
Yeah. It does start to drag on for a bit, I think. I don't know that I actually finished it in one kind of session. I think I played about halfway through it, and then like a month later I went back and played the other half.
Yeah, I was playing it when we all got quarantined, and I remember having fun for a while, and then I'm like, oh, this game is it's still going. And like you fight the first, like what are they like archdemons or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the final boss, and I'm like, let's go, like I got the BFG, and I'm going, and then I'm like, oh, I got like 10 hours left. I looked at like the guide and saw all the sections left. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I guess we're going. And then that's when I put it down. I'm
yeah.
done with it.
And I haven't even touched the second one. Everyone says it's good, but I think I'm just going to hold off on that until I upgrade my PC and can blow it out of the water settings wise. So
speaking of upgrading PCs, Nvidia showed off the 30 series, 3000 series of graphics cards yesterday. What do you think?
I'm pretty impressed. I think a lot of people are, and I've been talking a lot, depending on the prices of next gen and how that turns out. Like if these consoles are $600, which I think is a possibility, I think I'd rather just upgrade my PC at that point. And I mean, the one that obviously stuck out to me was the 3070. They came out and said it was $499, which is $100 less than the 2080 Ti, I think, and it's twice as fast as the 2080 Ti for that price.
That is so painful to me, dude. That is so painful because I just spent $500 on my current graphics card, which is a good graphics card.
Yeah,
but this thing just came out 4 months later and just absolutely eviscerated my computer. And I'm like, God, that sucks. I might end up buying one. I don't know.
Yeah, and supposedly, I mean, this could all be PR talk, so I'm curious what actually happens when they release. And I don't know if they're all releasing in October. I know at least the 3070 is, but I know they were saying that this is the largest leap any NVIDIA graphics cards have ever taken in between generations. So I think it's pretty impressive. And my PC is super outdated at this point. I'm still rocking what I built in, I guess it was 2016, I think was when I built it, like February 2016. So
that's probably still strong enough to run modern games, though.
Yeah, I can run some stuff. Like I can still play like Apex and things like that, but most like, like I did try Fallout 76 that one night, and it just did not run on my computer. But, I'm still rocking the FX 8350, which is just a huge bottleneck in my PC. So, I think whatever happens, though, I know supposedly the new Ryzen CPUs are scheduled to come out soon with that new, I think it's like the 7 nanometer, 8 nanometer like die or chips or whatever they are. So, which is, I don't know too much about that stuff, but I know it's supposed to be some crazy like advancement for CPUs that Intel hasn't been really taking. So I'm curious to see what happens with that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, once those new Ryzen chips come out and these 30 series are out, I'll probably jump in on that and upgrade my PC finally.
What I think is really amazing is that I walked away from PC gaming for close to a decade, really.
Yeah.
When I built my last computer in 2013, and I barely ever played it. I really didn't do anything with it, And even back then, like Intel was leaps and bounds above AMD in terms of like processing power and price and whatnot. Well, power for the price. They were more expensive. AMD was always kind of viewed as like the budget brand processor, and you didn't want to go AMD. But when I was going to build my PC this year, what I found was almost the opposite. Like Intel was unanimously just kind of like, it's not worth it for the money. And AMD, like it seems like every big streamer, gamer, they go with the Ryzen series, which is what I got, and I'm super happy with it. And you get a cool Wraith cooler with them, which which is really great, and they're very powerful. And it seems like Intel's fallen behind a little bit, and that's cool because I always liked AMD a little bit more. Yeah,
I think they're kind of the underdog. So I think it's if I could go back in time and not buy an AMD, would I? Probably, but that's only because the one that I bought, like you said, was in that time frame.
Yeah,
it was the budget CPU. I think I wish I had waited another month or two and saved up and just gotten an Intel CPU. But Looking at what they're doing now, I mean, for the most part, AMD is pretty much on par with Intel. I think they might have a slightly worse performance in some games, but based off what I've read, it's like almost nothing. Like it's not really noticeable. But
yeah, pretty incredible.
Like I said, those new chips that are coming out, that new, you guys listening need to go look it up because I'm no expert on this stuff. But like I said, I know there's some sort of new advancement as far as how much they're going to be able to cram into their CPUs that AMD is making. And I think the general consensus that most people are thinking right now is these new chips that AMD is about to release are straight up going to surpass what Intel has. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm super interested, and also a little bit depressed because, like I said, I just spent $2,000 on a PC that is immediately outdated. That always happens, but it doesn't usually happen to this leap so quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I should have known better than to build a PC at the very end of a generation. This always happens.
That's why I've been holding off. Yeah.
I mean, it always happens. The best time to build a PC is right at the beginning of a generation when that leap happens. And but whatever. If I need to upgrade, I'll upgrade. I'm also buying a Camaro this spring. Who cares about money? You know what I'm saying? Hey. Who needs savings, right, Austin?
Yeah. Just put your, make a PC and put it in your Camaro. That way you can play it whenever you want. Speaking
of saving money, let's jump into Chris's question this week.
Oh, yeah. The good one. I like that transition. That's excellent.
Chris Chamberlain, our good buddy, asks, I keep seeing more and more posts about people being pleasantly surprised how much they like the campaign of Avengers. I'm very tempted to buy it myself, but I also want to see what people say about the other modes first. What are your thoughts on the game? Are any of you going to pick it up? Well, Coach and Elijah aren't here. I know Elijah's picking it up. So. Oh,
yeah. Elijah's a huge fan of the Avengers. Marvel. His favorite franchise.
Yep. But I will say, like I told Chris in the chat earlier I think it was either yesterday or today, God himself couldn't get me to buy this game. If God came down and said, Seth, I'm back. I have returned, my son. You need to buy the Avengers or I'm starting the Rapture and no one's making it alive. I'm still not buying the Avengers, dude. I'm saying I'll save the $60 and screw these people. Send them to hell.
Actually, for me, I'm a little more interested. I'm still certainly not going to buy it, but I am a little more interested after reading what people are saying. But here's what I'll say, and I said it, pretty sure I said it last week, but when I played at the beta, I didn't like it. I didn't like how it played. So, if I didn't like the gameplay, I don't really foresee myself liking the entire game. But I am curious. I think it's been interesting to kind of see what people have been saying about the single player. Supposedly it's actually like really pretty good. At the end of the day, I still wish it was just a standard single player narrative Avengers game. I really don't need this Destiny games as a service mess that's added in. And that's my concern is like, okay, from what I've read, the story is like 10 to 15 hours long, which is decent length, but everyone now is like finishing that like review wise. So I'm curious to see in the next couple days what people are going to start saying about the repetitiveness of the game, the kind of more grindy nature of the game that doesn't involve the narrative, because for me, that's the thing. I think that's the reason why I just have no interest, is because that I really don't care about that stuff in this game.
You brought up reviewers, and I just wanted to shout out like a really funny story from Sacred Symbols that was this week.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you listened to Sacred Symbols. Did you listen this past week?
I haven't listened to this one yet.
Colin told a really interesting story about review consoles and review copies of games, and how when he was working at IGN, like they used to get these review consoles, of course, from like Sony and Microsoft, and he's like, we couldn't give the PlayStation and Xbox Ones away. They wouldn't even take them back. He's like, IGN just has a treasure trove of them. But Nintendo used to ship like Wii U's and 3DS's bolted to desks.
What?
Yeah, so that like
are you kidding me?
Yeah,
my god.
Yeah, like they were super hardcore about it. And he said like you'd have to have like an expert come and like set him up and whatnot.
Good Lord.
Awesome, dude. You imagine just like getting a review console from Nintendo and it's a giant desk with a 3DS bolted to it. That's so ridiculous. Awesome,
that's like, I don't know if you've ever seen this picture. It's this meme that used to go around. It was like, rate my setup, and it was just this empty like apartment room, and there was a 3DS sitting in the center of the room.
Yeah,
and it makes me think of that. It's like, yeah, just a 3DS is bolted onto this desk. Oh my god, that's absolutely insane.
That's so awesome. I respect that so much.
Oh, man, I wonder if there's any pictures of that. That's crazy.
Like, no, you fools! You will not be getting our review consoles out there in the wild. Idiots.
Oh man.
Yeah, Nintendo back in the day was like so extra with their security and whatnot too. It's so funny. Like,
well, I think the thing was they were just upset that the DS was, aside from like the Dreamcast, like the most pirated system of all time. Like
and the PSP.
Yeah. So they've really cracked down on that stuff now, though.
Yeah, I don't know. The Switch had like a massive vulnerability.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't patch out. So
yeah,
there was that. I have my Switch hacked. I never use it though. I haven't touched my Switch in like 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last time I played it was when Fire Emblem came out, and
Coach sent me that game, and I still have not played it.
I played it for maybe 4 or 5 hours, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
I don't want to play this on Switch, and I just stopped. I don't know. There's something about the Switch that turns me off.
Yeah,
I just don't want to play games on that console. I played Xenoblade No, I did play it recently. Maybe in the whenever Xenoblade Chronicles Remastered came out, I played about 20 hours of that on my Switch, but I still didn't enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's good.
I get it.
The game is good, but I don't know.
No, I get it.
All right, well, let's jump into some news this week. Austin, why don't you just drop this tasty Mass Effect story on my tongue?
Yeah, so there's not really too much to this, but this is a story from Eurogamer, and technically it's Eurogamer reporting on something that Jeff Grubb has brought up, who is suddenly, I feel like, just all over my Twitter timeline. I honestly don't really know who this guy is, but he's just been popping up nonstop for me on Twitter. I don't know if that's the same for anyone else, but apparently he's a journalist
I have seen this.
Yeah, apparently he's a journalist for Games Beat, and basically he came out this week and said that he knows that EA is remastering the Mass Effect trilogy, and that he basically, so this is his direct quote. He said, "Up until this last week, I know the plan for sure was to announce Mass Effect Trilogy Remastered in early October, release it in later October." And then he said, so essentially now he's thinking that it's 2020, so maybe it could slip, obviously because Corona and everything happening, and that from what he's heard, it sounds like a real possibility, but nothing's for sure. But I just wanted to bring this up because honestly, ever since PS4 and Xbox One released, I think almost every single year, these rumors of Mass Effect Trilogy Remastered have been just nonstop. Like, I feel like every time, and maybe not so much this year because it didn't happen, but every year at E3, everyone's like, is Mass Effect Trilogy going to get a remaster this year? Are they going to announce that this year? And it sounds like, at least based off what Jeff Grubb is saying, which again, I don't know how accurate he is when it comes to stuff like this, but it sounds like it's happening, but it sounds like it might be later this year and not October, if that was what was originally planned, which that's fine with me. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Do you think they update Mass Effect 1?
That was my question for you was, I don't know. It's been a while since I played the trilogy, and I'm sure some people that have listened to this show have probably played it somewhat recently, but for those that have not, Mass Effect 1 is a drastically different game than Mass Effect 2 and 3. It's so outdated by comparison. It's really stiff, and graphically it really does not look like I guess what would now be considered a last gen game. I'd say it looks like a late, like, PS2 era game.
The driving missions, dude.
Yeah, and then
God,
I don't even remember what the heck that thing was called, but yeah, that vehicle that you drive around, and
yeah,
the physics were like abysmal, and oh god,
you couldn't aim the cannon up and down. You could only aim it left and right, so you had to angle the vehicle on like rocks and stuff.
Mass Effect 1 is an interesting game, though. Still, I still think it's worth playing. Although, again, it's been probably 7-8 years since I played through that series. So
I probably played it again 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's rough, man. It is really, really rough. The story is the best out of all the Mass Effect games in one.
Oh yeah, Mass Effect 1 has a phenomenal story,
and it's not even close. By the way, like it's not even close. They set the whole world up. But whenever you go to that planet, Ilias,
I don't even remember.
It's the Prothean planet, and you get that massive plot twist, and. I'll never forget that moment, man. Like it's one of my great gaming memories.
Yeah.
But whenever I first played it, and like here's actually a really funny story about me and Mass Effect.
Yeah.
I played Mass Effect 1 on Xbox 360 when I first got my 360. Right, I played it, I liked it, and I completely forgot about it. And then Mass Effect 2 came out, and I heard everybody talking about it, so I got it on my PC and I was playing through it. And I did not realize it was a sequel to Mass Effect 1, the game that I had played and beaten. I swear to God, Austin, until like halfway through the game.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not joking at all. Like that's how much I forgot about Mass Effect 1 after I beat it. I completely, because I wasn't like really paying attention to the story of Mass Effect 1 when I beat it.
Yeah.
And Mass Effect 2 is a drastically different game. It's like not even close to the same gameplay. So I played through halfway through, and I'm like, a lot of this like seems pretty familiar. And I'm like, oh my god, I played the first one. It was really an insane like turn of events, a twist, if you will, halfway through the season. Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Yeah, I love this series. I think actually I'm pretty sure I got into it because of you. I remember you recommending it to me, and I think it was right around the time that 3 had come out.
Makes sense.
Right around the time 3 came out, everyone was in our friend group was super excited for it, and so I remember I went back and played all of them at that time, and it's still, it's been years and years and years since I've played them, but they're still probably one of my top series of all time. I mean, it's a phenomenal set of games, and like you said, I really hope that should this remaster be true, I do hope that Mass Effect 1 gets a bit of an upgrade. I think it's a bit jarring by comparison to 2 and 3. I'd compare it to The Witcher 1. I'd say it's kind of in that vein of Witcher 1 is quite a bit jarring compared to 2 and 3.
Yeah, it's a great comparison. Now I know when they released it on PS3 in the collection, they did upgrade it in some ways. Have you played the PS3 version at all?
I don't own it anymore. I remember I bought the PS3 set at one point just to own them. Mm-hmm. I don't think I definitely don't own them anymore, but if I'm not mistaken, I think they upgraded 1 to run on the same engine that 2 runs on, but I don't really think it made a difference. I think it was just kind of them being like, oh, it runs on this engine, but they didn't change anything like graphically or anything. It was just kind of behind the scenes. So yeah, I don't really know. What I will tell you is that I did try to go back and replay these games somewhat recently on PC. It was probably 3 or 4 years ago. And I stopped when I found out that 1 and 2 do not have controller support on PC, and I don't want to play it with keyboard and mouse.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, you literally cannot play those games with the controller on PC.
How is that a thing? They came out on Xbox.
I don't know, because they play so well with controller on there, and I was like, I really do not want to sit here and play this freaking like massive RPG with my keyboard and mouse. Like I don't want to do it.
That's crazy to me, especially since they came out on Xbox and the 360 is like the go-to computer controller.
Well, and there was a mod, I think, for 1 and 2, but it's still not like it just doesn't play the same as they did on 360 controller wise. So
that's insane, dude. That is absolutely crazy. I am wondering though why this has taken so long to come out. You
I am
know,
too.
because it doesn't make any sense why they've held it in this. I mean, we've gotten a ton of remaster collections and remakes and whatnot this generation, like too many of them. But Mass Effect was always the one glaring flaw, and I'm wondering if Andromeda had something to do with it.
I think it could be. I think it certainly could be Andromeda. I think they were potentially like, let's get Andromeda out. And then Andromeda came out and, everyone hated it and it was panned. And maybe they were just kind of waiting for space. I think, which honestly, I think that's the right call. I think they made the right choice. I think had they released the trilogy right after, I think there probably would be a few people that would have that same kind of sour taste in their mouth still and wouldn't purchase it because they were so disappointed with Andromeda. And
if there was anything wrong with the collection at all, people would have torn it apart after Andromeda.
For sure. So I think they made the right call. What I am curious about is this going to be a cross-gen title? Like, is this going to be PS4 and PS5, or what are we going to see here? Because it is so late in the generation now, and people have been begging for this for 7 years. It's just, it is a bit late. But I do know supposedly EA has a few remasters coming out this year. I know there was a rumor going around that they're remastering Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
I feel like we've gotten 3 remasters of that. like the remasters or remakes.
Yeah.
Didn't we get like a Need for Speed Hot Pursuit remake in like 2013?
Well, it wasn't a remake, but it was like a new kind of title in the same vein. And I think that's the one that they're saying would get remastered now, but I don't really know. It seems like EA is kind of jumping on the remaster train right now, though. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man. I played Need for Speed Heat earlier this year, and I really liked it. It was the first Need for Speed game I had played since probably Undercover. I played Undercover quite a bit, but that was the last one that I had played. I stopped playing them after that because I thought they would look stupid. And then I played Heat, and Heat was like old school Need for Speed Underground. It was really good. I liked it a lot.
I didn't play Heat, but I did hear it was good. I think the last one I played was I think it was just called Need for Speed. It was the one that was supposed to be like Underground. It was like 3 years ago, maybe.
Oh, okay.
And it was just it wasn't. It was not Underground, but it was one of those games that came out around the same time as The Crew, where it was like always online. Like you had to be online to play this game, and it was like I wasn't a fan.
It is Heat that I'm talking about, right? The one that came out like a year ago.
Yeah, like last fall.
Yeah. It is it. Yeah, it plays a lot like Underground. The gameplay is different, but like the whole premise is a lot like Underground. I like it a lot. I will say the one thing I hate about modern Need for Speed games, though, is the crazy rubber band mechanics. The rubber band mechanics are out of control, especially with cops, dude. You'll be going like 150 down the highway, and a cop just appears next to you out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, man! He just like catches up to you. He be going like 220 miles an hour on the highway. God,
sheesh.
Ridiculous.
Huh.
But let's jump into my topic this week.
Yeah.
So Sony announced this pre-order program for the PS5, and we have an article here, but I kind of feel like it'd be better.
It's pretty straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward. So essentially what you do is you go to this website that Sony linked, and you put in your PSN ID.
Yep.
And you get an email, and it puts you on a list for a PS5 pre-order.
Yep.
So this is, by the way, this is not a pre-order. This is to get put on a list for a pre-order.
Yeah.
Which you may not get. So Sony hasn't released the specific details of who's going to get chosen. It's some sort of lottery system. We know that. And they have confirmed it will be determined based upon your PlayStation activity and
really?
A PlayStation activity and like things you have done on PlayStation. So I made the joke when this was announced that like, you're not allowed to pre-order the PlayStation 5 until you get trophy level 15. But like, to be honest, that might come into play. Like, oh, this person has a level 34 trophy score level. Like, we'll toss him pre-order. It seems to be something along those type of lines. Maybe the age of your PSN ID.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how this is going to work. I did put my name in for it. Did you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. Even though I don't know if I'll be buying one.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm still not convinced I'm going to be buying one. But the craziest thing about this is that we still don't know how much it costs or the release date. And they've opened this page for pre-orders. And I thought for sure August was not going to come and go without a price and release date. Like I would have bet money on it, gun to my head, that they would have announced it in August.
Yep.
And now September's coming out. This thing is most likely less than 10 weeks away, and we still have no idea. I don't get it, man. Do you have any inclination of what they might be waiting for?
I honestly am not sure. I think a lot of people have been theorizing that they're ready to announce it. They're just waiting on the other company to pull the trigger first. Like it's some sort of like Cold War situation, which is like ridiculous.
That's what it seems like. That really is what it seems like. Like both companies are just waiting. Because by the way, we haven't gotten one from Xbox either.
No, and the funny thing about that too, by the way, is that not only do we not have that from Xbox, we also don't know about the Xbox Series S, which, by the way, this week was like essentially confirmed because I forget what it was, but you know how like they'll sell those like download code like cards in the store for like Xbox and PlayStation?
Yes.
I guess there was like one that some reviewer got or something. I don't know all the details, but they got a copy of like one of these code cards that you would typically buy for PlayStation dollars or, you know, whatever it is. And on it, it mentioned the Series S. And so it's obviously real, but we still don't know anything about that either.
It's so strange, man. IGN posted an infographic today on Instagram about how far in advance PlayStation prices were announced. For the PS1, it was 4 months. For the PS5 or the PS2, it was 5 months. For the PS3, it was 6 months. For the PS4, it was 5 months. And we are less than 2 months away, a little over 2 months away probably, from the PS5, and we still don't know. It's very strange to me. And I just don't know, man. I don't...
You know, I've been on a roller coaster with this generation coming. And when we first started this podcast on episode 0, I said that I really had no interest in next gen.
Yeah.
And that went away after, you know, these last few months. We got a lot of good stuff shown from both PlayStation and Xbox. And so I was suddenly like, okay, I'm in. But now, to be honest, seeing how this is being handled, something is kind of rubbing me the wrong way about next gen right now. And,
yeah, I agree. There's something off. I think, you know, what's that law? The simplest solution is often what is that called? Murphy's Law, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Murphy's Law. That says that each side is waiting for the other to announce the price.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been the most common, you know, solution to this predicament in like August, maybe even July. But now we're in September and we still don't know. And it's kind of making me believe there's something else wrong. Like there's something else going on with this situation. I
agree. I think that, and this is all just speculation. I mean, this is just thoughts that have been flying through my head, but I 100% agree with you. I think, you know, it's obvious this has been a crazy year. I think, is it possible that potentially something is wrong with the production of certain parts of these things? I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Especially when I want to say it was on episode 1 of this podcast, we even said that there was like a shortage of certain VRAM or something that was like raising the price of the PS5.
Right.
And that was before COVID happened. You know, it'll be interesting and maybe I'll be shocked next week when they come out and say, oh, nope, nothing's wrong. We're just, you know, we were just holding out, which is possible. But there's something about the way this is being handled by both companies that I'm kind of like, you know, it's too late for me. Like I really don't know that I'm interested in buying one at launch now, because I'm a little concerned hardware wise that like I'm going to buy this thing and we're going to be in a red ring of death or yellow light of death situation where, or Joy-Con drift is a good example, where I don't know what's going on with the production of these, but I'm like a little concerned that people are going to buy these and there's going to be some glaring flaw.
And that's a reasonable problem to have. I mean, now PS4 and Xbox One are both wonderful consoles that I don't know have any massive flaw to them.
No.
The failure rate, I believe, is extremely low.
Yep.
But like you said, there is something off about this whole situation that I don't like. And on the other side, we could be getting a price and release date announcement any day. They could just post it on Twitter or Instagram, and it would take off. But I really just don't get what they're waiting for. And at this point, where I'm sitting with this is that I'm waiting to see what the launch lineup is, because I'm not going to make the same mistake I made with PS4. If there's not games I can play on day one that I want to play, then I'm not getting it. Like, because Ratchet and Clank was confirmed to be a launch window game, correct?
Yes, so not launch day.
And that was the one I was looking forward to the most. I can wait on Spider-Man. I can wait on pretty much whatever else is coming. Cyberpunk I can get on my PC or my PS4 if I want to play it. There's right now, if depending on what they announce is going to be the launch lineup, I'm not worried. I'm not too concerned about it. But what I will say is that I am almost certain this console is coming out November 13th or November 20th.
Yeah.
It's one of those days. They're both Fridays. The PS4 came out on a Friday. Yep. Now, Assassin's Creed Valhalla comes out on the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked it up. And Cyberpunk comes out on the 19th, which is weird because the 19th is a Thursday. Yeah, the 19th is a Thursday, which is very strange. You don't normally get Thursday release dates.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's probably pretty likely that Assassin's Creed Valhalla comes out for PS4 and Xbox One on the 17th. The PS5 version comes out alongside the PS5 on the 20th. Mm-hmm. And Cyberpunk 2077 launches alongside them on the 19th into the 20th. Yeah. I can see that happening.
I think you're probably right about that.
Yeah. So that being said, we all know Assassin's Creed Valhalla is going to come out on next gen. We all know Cyberpunk's coming out next gen. What are they waiting for? Why? Just do it. Just drop the news, man. I don't get it. I'm getting very frustrated just talking about it. Just say it.
No, I mean
and say it.
It's getting frustrating. I mean, I think that's the thing is I don't mean to sound entitled, but it is getting a little frustrating that we are now potentially 2 months away, like 8 to 10 weeks away from these systems.
Yeah.
And these things are going to be expensive. Like they're probably going to be at least $500 each. This is not something that, you announce a month in advance. Yep. So I'm just curious to see what happens. But what I will say is, like you said, the launch lineup does matter to me. With Xbox Series X, Halo was already delayed. So, that's gone. Like Xbox Series X for me pretty much has nothing at launch. Is PS5 going to be in the same situation? I think that's possible. I don't know where Miles Morales fits in or like Demon Souls, but I think with everything that's happened this year, I would not be surprised if we really don't have any big launch titles on either systems.
Yeah.
From a first party standpoint. So,
yep, I agree.
It's going to be really interesting. And I say all this, but I know in a couple of weeks, I'll probably be like, whenever they announce the price, I'll probably be like, oh, I'm in. I'm going to buy one.
Here. So, I'm in. Here we go, baby. Mario Kart Wii 140 is back.
I changed my PSN name, but I'll change it back for the PS5.
Attaboy. That's what I like to hear.
So, it's a crazy year, but I'm excited either way. It's frustrating, but exciting.
Yeah, I agree. All right, man. Well, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up the show?
I just wanted to talk about quickly, because I brought it up a little bit earlier, but Iceborne, Monster Hunter World Iceborne has its final update releasing.
Okay.
In October. And it's the addition of Fatalis, who is pretty much the most well-known baddest, like strongest monster in the entire series.
Oh.
In the lore, if I'm not mistaken, there's a reason essentially why in Monster Hunter there's no real humans. You know, you have
Wait,
like your
there's not?
camps. Yeah, you have like your camps, but there's not really like civilizations. And that reason is because
I didn't know that.
like a group of elder dragons, like led by Fatalis, like destroyed humanity like thousands of years ago. So,
I did not know that.
yeah, there's like a lot of like crazy stuff lore wise that is kind of hidden behind Fatalis, but he's like straight up just a dragon. Like he's just like the most generic looking dragon, but he's like the coolest freaking monster in the series. So I'm really looking forward to him. But I just wanted to add this in because it's the final update for the game, which means that they're potentially going to be looking towards the future. And I know this week there was a report that came out about a new Monster Hunter game releasing on Switch, and that it would run on a modified version of the Resident Evil engine, which is pretty interesting.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Because Resident Evil looks gorgeous.
Yep. And they have a super good engine. I mean, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 3, they all look phenomenal. So it'll be interesting to see where that kind of goes. But I just know I'm excited for what comes next for Monster Hunter, because I think as a Monster Hunter fan, the big thing that bothered me this generation was that World kind of came out and it was kind of lacking content-wise at launch. And
really? Because it seems massive to me.
Well, it is now. It is now. They've added in a lot. They've really fixed a lot. But the problem is, I think when it came out, they were upgrading a game that was releasing on 3DS for like the last 7-8 years. And suddenly they had this huge upgrade of a game. And so content-wise, there weren't that many monsters at launch. But then Iceborne came out and like completely like double, tripled the amount of monsters in the game.
So did they go back and add more monsters and stuff to like the vanilla game? Because I feel I haven't gotten to Iceborne. It feels massive. Yeah,
they added 5 monsters, I think, after in between Iceborne and World, and obviously those were all free updates. Every update they did for this game was free, so they actually added in over 10 monsters for free that had nothing to do with the expansions. It was just patched.
That's awesome.
But now that all these monsters have been made, I think that's going to be the true tell for Monster Hunter World 2 or Monster Hunter 6 or whatever it's going to be called, is now that these models are here, now they have real kind of room for improvement and kind of space for content, because they don't really need to upgrade the models that much, unlike when they were coming from 3DS to PS4. So it'll be interesting, but I just want to throw that in there because I absolutely adore Monster Hunter. And
how do you feel about, so like I played a lot of Monster Hunter earlier a couple months ago. I'm almost done with the base game. The one thing that does bother me about Monster Hunter, and I'm interested to hear your perspective on this, being such a veteran of the series, is that there was no automatic, I guess you wouldn't call it auto aim, but like automatic tracking for your attacks. They miss constantly because the monsters are moving. Is that something you wish was in the series? Because coming from the outside, I kind of do.
For me, I've never really thought about it. But I could see how you could want that for sure. Actually, Andie and I were playing, I think I brought this up before, but we were playing Torchlight. And coming from Diablo to Torchlight is a little strange, because in Diablo, anytime you're holding X or whatever your attack button is, you just kind of automatically turn to your enemies.
Right.
You're pretty much always fighting someone, whereas Torchlight, you have to use your analog stick and make sure you're facing them. And I loved how that was in Diablo. So, I know I'm comparing a very different game to Monster Hunter, but I could see how potentially that could be useful for Monster Hunter, especially with how long some of the fights are.
Yeah.
But for me, no, it doesn't really bother me personally, but I could see how, like you said, it could be something that might be added into the game or people could find useful. So,
all right. Awesome. All right. Yep. Well, we are just about 59 minutes in, probably a little less after all the editing and whatnot, but I think we're finally going to hit a target this week. Watson.
You almost call me Watson every single week, Seth.
It's weird. That's because he's like the only person. It's like he's like the only person I talk to, dude. He's like I'm not even joking. Like I see Watson more than I see anybody in my family, like times 10. I see Watson almost every single day and talk to him almost every single day.
Yeah.
So that's why that happens. And Austin and Watson kind of sound the same. So that's just the way.
That's true.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Well, hopefully I see you in 14 soon, buddy, after you get done conquering the final boss of Monster Hunter.
Yeah, I think whenever, like I said, I think our plan right now is to try to kind of get through World and finish up its content, especially if there really is a new Monster Hunter game coming out on Switch. I think we kind of just want to finish World, but certainly the second I'm working a full-time job instead of 2 part-time jobs, which has been just a pain time-wise, that should clear up a lot of time for me once I'm full-time. But once that happens and once we're done with World, I think I'll be ready for some raids and
all right,
some duty finder. And
yeah, dude, you got some unfinished business to do. You got to take care of Nidhogg, so we got to get you in there.
Yep.
All right, buddy. Well, I guess we will reconvene next week on episode 25 of Framescope. Looking forward to that. We shall. Hopefully we'll have the price and release date next week. Otherwise, we'll have this conversation. We'll have this conversation every single week until they finally drop the news. I swear to God it'll happen. I will not give in. On that note, I guess we'll wrap things up here. Thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Remember to follow us and leave us a review on your podcast app of choice, whether that's Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. We're now on. Is iHeart the new one this week, or is TuneIn?
Yeah, so iHeart we're on now, and I did submit us to Amazon, their new podcast service, which is on Amazon Music. I don't actually think it's out yet, but we should be on there at some point.
Awesome. Yeah, remember to leave us a review for that. It really helps out the show, helps get our name out there. We really appreciate it, guys. Remember to write in with your questions.
This is a new thing. Sorry, I wanted to bring this up.
Okay.
I started doing this because I was listening to this actually a Japanese podcast I listened to just to kind of refresh on the language. And they have a thing where they have like a Google form for people that want to submit questions. So that's maybe easier than going to your email, typing in frameskippodcast@gmail.com if you want to send questions that way. So now what you can do is go to bit.ly/frameskipq. So bit.ly/frameskipq and just go to that website, and it's just a question form, and write in your question there and we'll get it.
Yes.
Makes it pretty simple. So.
That is an excellent addition so that we don't have to amalgamate all the questions from different social media apps.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Make sure, once again, Bitly. It's a Bitly link. For you guys who don't know what that is, it's a link service that shortens link names. Yep. But it's just bit.ly/frameskipq.
Yep.
All right. Remember to follow us on Twitter @FrameSkipPod. You can follow me on Twitter @Seth S. Taylor, Elijah @LocalLizardman, Austin at Austin. Why am I having trouble saying this, dude? Austin @Austin J. Eller. And Coach does not have a Twitter handle. This episode will be up Friday, September 4th, as you know, since you're already listening to it. And until next time, kids, you hang in there. It's scary. Hoop-de-doo. Frame skip off the loo.
Goodbye.